Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bahashim Chakudash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shaman. This week I'm going to be speaking about the tensions that's going on the global level, right? From China to North Korea to the tensions in the Middle East, warring over oil resources, and pretty much who's going to become the dominant superpower. The Most High, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, took out the kings, some of the kings of the earth, and queens, right? Queen Elizabeth, the so-called queen, and the Rothschilds and Rockefellers and these different factions are getting taken out the world. Now you having other nations of wealth, all right, trying to position themselves in the next coming world order, if you will, man, all right. And we know that what right now the so-called Jews, they control the state of Israel, and over there, there's since they've been in that land going all the way back to the 1940s with the Arthur Balfour Declaration, there has not been peace in that land, all right? It's been nothing but constant wars and skirmishes. And as that guy said, that president, his name started with a G, his name slips me right now, but he said that, there'll never be peace in the Middle East because the Jews left black and came back white. So when you go throughout the scriptures, you see that the land, like the human body, it rejects foreign substances, foreign entities, all right? And not only foreign entities, but basically when you're not keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the land, the land will fight back against that person. It happened to us when there's an account where the Lord sent lions and all types of stuff. So not only is the so-called Jews there, but you have the so-called Palestinians, which they're not the true Palestinians. Palestine go back to Philistines, all right? The true Philistines are Hamites. Right now over there you have a mixture of Edomites, Ishmaelites, and Elamites. Ishmaelites and Elamites grouped up together, mixed up together, is how you have that term Arab, because that term Arab means mixture. You could really call even America Arab, because Arab, again, mixture, is a mixture or melting pot here in America. But yeah, these situations are causing constant violence and wars over there in our homeland, and it's not till the Lord completely destroys that land pursuant to the book of Ezekiel in World War III and cleanse it with nuclear missiles and have the righteous people come back there after that destruction. Will Jerusalem, Israel, bring forth its true fruit and abundance, because that land is supposed to be a land flowing milk and honey, man. I mean, 2 rain seasons and you get a fruitful land. So it's supposed to be a very fruitful place, right? But quite the opposite is there happening now, to the point where they have to import trees. So they're starting skirmishes over there. But guess what? That little small entangling alliance, because the scriptures in the book of Jeremiah says the least of the flock shall draw them out. Shall draw who out? Draw the rest of the nations out to this coming World War III. Okay? And what you're seeing right now, even on a global scale, is you have very small nations, all right, having huge impacts on what larger nations want to do. Let's give a few examples. You have Taiwan, right? Taiwan is a small island, all right, but the war for Taiwan, all right, or the right to where Taiwan, what country it belongs to, all right, it's causing a lot of bigger nations, all right, to have these back and forth skirmishes, man, Cold War like things, right? So that's an example. Taiwan, all right, because whoever controls Taiwan, basically the United States wants Taiwan, so it could probably make it a part of NATO or some sort of excuse to have military defense really closer to China, right? The same thing you see right now going on in Ukraine, right? And now the Ukrainians themselves, like, I mess with a chick, she's from Ukraine. They truly wanted independence away from Russia. But as you know, one of the leaders said, you don't make a good crisis go to waste, right? So even though the intention to separate from Russia was organic, okay, they used that situation, all right, the U.S. manipulated that situation, all right, to create conflict and destabilize that area, to hurt Russia, which is, you know, a greater threat. So, and I mean, the list goes on, and it's even more predominant over there in the Middle East right now because a lot of these Middle Eastern nations, remember we talked about kings of the earth, these kings became kings because they have predator banking systems, right? And some of these Middle Eastern countries, all right, were one of the few that didn't have Rothschild's own banks in their countries, okay? That's how come they set up PNAC, Project for a New American Century, wherein they used a crisis-like event. Remember, they said we need like a Pearl Harbor-like event to get over there in the Middle East. And sure enough, September 11th, 2001, there was your event to start invading those nations, you know? So the skirmish over there in the Middle East, and what's so crazy is you look at something like Iran, a country like Iran. Iran controls the Strait of Hormuz, where 25% of the world oils goes through. So we're seeing these nations are small in terms of, you know, some literally landmass is smaller compared to these larger nations. But what they have on the military level is somewhat small. But they have such strategic placement throughout the world that they could literally collapse the world economy. You see? If Iran don't need nukes, all right? They could set off an EMP in the Strait of Hormuz, and that will just cripple a lot of things. You see? So there's a constant power struggle going on now. But the thing is this: America wants to police the world, right? So the fact that America wants to go around and pretty much dictate who runs the world, and it's not so much America. America is a proxy, all right, for the real kings, all right, the real kings who run the earth, all right, the leaders who run the world with trillions of dollars and shit. You know what I'm saying? That could just collapse and raise up empires on a whim with a snap of their finger, all right. They use the largest military in the world, which is America, all right, to wage wars for them. You know, so the small hats that dwell in the land of Israel are using America. But guess what? This is how come the scriptures in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, tells us, you know, what's going to happen in World War III. The two main nations that's going to get targeted and destroyed. You see? And the only way to elude or escape this coming destruction is via the chariots. This is how come we're working and striving to be a part of the hopeful elect. All right? Because there's no other way you're going to get delivered out this coming destruction, all right? But by the chariots, all right? And they're not fucking chariots with a saddleback, okay? Like that dumbass and that Hebrew to Negro the H2N dude was talking about, man. These chariots are what they call UFOs. But they're not UFOs, truly. UFOs mean unidentified flying object. But these things are identified in the book of Kings, all right? In the book of Psalms, as the chariots of Israel. Psalms 104 and 3. He maketh the clouds his chariots, all right? That's how we're going to get delivered, beamed up, materialized, if you will, all right? This flesh, the Lord is going to, you know, from a scientific standpoint, change the molecular structure and all that, give us a new outer shell, but the spirit shall be the same. But a cleansed spirit, a cleansed mind, the one that is going to keep the laws perfectly. Okay, and then we're going to come back and conquer the earth, Lord willing, we are the elect. And that's in the scriptures. New Jerusalem coming down from heaven. Okay, our bodies being changed in the twinkling of an eye. 1 Corinthians, I want to say the 15th chapter and the 50th verse on down goes into it. All right. So these are some of the things that are going to come to pass. All right. But before all these things transpire, all right, you're going to hear rumors of war, skirmishes, all these things pursuant to the book of Matthew, the 24th chapter, and that's what we're seeing. Okay, we're seeing rumors of war, situations like North Korea testing their missiles, India, these different particular nations testing their missiles, saying fuck America, what can you do now? See, that's why the scriptures say, let the weak say I'm strong. All right, because when World War I happened, you had fat boy and fat man and little boy, something like that. Those atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. it made the whole world tremble. They've never seen something like that, all right, in their lives. So there was a great fear that fell upon the nations of the power of the so-called white man. But now all these other nations, all right, if they don't have the bomb themselves, guess what? They're allied with someone who does. So that great fear that fall upon the nations, now they say, you know what, we could test and do our own missiles. You know, we could, and we could ally ourselves with people that have missiles. So this whole America being a big bully, one time, the big bully beat up on all the nerds, but now you're having the nerds that are gonna come together and say, fuck that, man, and jump the bully, right? And that's in the scriptures, the book of Obadiah. Those that were confederated with thee are gonna turn their back on you, all right, including your number one ally, Britain. Okay, your mother, pursuant to the book of Jeremiah, all right. Your mother shall be confounded in thee. So you're going to have all these nations, a lot of nations that are allied with the United States right now. They're going to do something to piss off all these nations, man. And it not something, they're actually doing things to piss off all these nations, man. Being cutthroat, telling them what to do, switching sides on them, use them for a little bit. Hell, man, Saddam Hussein in the 80s had the keys to Detroit. Next thing you know, 20 years later, he's on the front page as a number one terrorist and all that. So that's how America get down. So other nations are saying, wait a minute, these motherfuckers been cutthroat, doing people dirty. Shit, man, I'm gonna get them before they get me. You see? And ultimately, all these different Edomite so-called white people that are at the top of these countries and infrastructures and governments, all right? Guess what? Scriptures tell you that if Satan be divided against himself, how can his kingdom stand? Because really, it's Edomites going against Edomites. Russians and United States and Britain and Europe, those are the heads of them, all Edomites. Okay, they might have high-ranking generals in different nations up in there, all right, but in terms of who's running things behind the scene, it all goes back to Edomites, man. So they're divided, they're going to war against each other, and that's how that kingdom is going to fall. Every kingdom always felt like that. You go through our secular history, go even to scriptures. With our own people, Israel, right? Once the kingdom was divided, that was it. The Syrian Empire, Babylonian Empire, a lot of these empires become divided, all right, or not in unison. And that's what makes their ass fall. So America shall be no different. The Edomite Empire shall be no different. And the fact that these things are conspiring now, all right, are giving us clear indications and signs that this is the way things are headed. And ultimately, all right, the Most High gave them the rope to hang themselves. Gave them the pursuant to the book of Daniel 4:12, gave them the understanding, the wisdom, the knowledge, and all that to create a great weapon to ultimately destroy them themselves, man. So that's the Most High right there. The deceived and the deceiver are His. So being in the Heavenly Father's trick bag is is a place. It's just like, wow, So the Most High is the ultimate check. That's how come the scriptures tell you, he that sitteth in the heavens shall laugh, man. You got these asshole Edomites thinking they're going to fight against the Lord and His Son, come out victorious. But really, they don't even know whatever is fueling them to think that, whatever secret technology they have in their mind, or whatever the demon is telling them within their counsel. They don't understand that demon or the science or whatever the hell lift them up with pride. All goes back to the Most High, the ultimate puppeteer. And Isaiah 14:24 tells us that so as He's spoken, so shall it stand. So there's nothing no one in the world, universe can do to negate the prophecies that are written throughout the Bible. All right? And the Lord is not a man that He should lie. All right? And Isaiah 55:11, none of the words go out void. Habakkuk the 2nd chapter, none of these things shall fail. Once the Most High set it in stone, and in the book of Isaiah said He declared it from the beginning. So we're just playing out already what is done. In another dimension, America's far destroyed already, man. We're just playing out, all right, the scriptures. And there's no deviating from the script. There's no outtakes. There's, I'm going to improvise. There's none of that shit. Whatever the Most High has set up, that's what's going to go down, which is the destruction, the death of America, and the rising up of His people with His Son, all right, Yahushua, which is the so-called black man with the world ignorant calls Jesus Christ, being the head of the coming kingdom to come and ruling, right? The 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, the Negroes and Native Americans coming to rule. Okay? 2nd Ezra 6, 7 to 9. All right? End of this man's world is the beginning of Jacob's world. All right? So with that, I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem Rakakodash. That belongs to the apostles and the elders of Great Milton True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Zadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. Shalom.